Families feeling pressured to terminate their children. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to talk about, well, a rather controversial and a topic that is quite close to home. Families feel pressured to terminate pregnancies after Down syndrome found in prenatal screening. Now, for those of you that may not be aware, we have a Down's boy, Edward. He's got Down syndrome, and, well, I'll show you a picture of him this morning right now, because we went through this whole process. Now, this was Eddie this morning over in the other house, and he's covered in his fish, creamy fish, that Rachel made for breakfast. And of course, I just piled a whole lot more on there because I knew I was going to record, so I wouldn't need to clean him. I mean, that's a typical dad. I don't need to clean him. So I just said, oh yeah, you can eat it. Now, we've been very fortunate with Eddie. Now, we discovered during prenatal screening that he was at high risk of Downs. Now, during that process, Rachel says it was the fastest she's ever got a doctor's appointment. It's the fastest they've ever spoken to us. We were quite clear and quite adamant that we were not going to terminate our child, no matter what. We did mourn, everyone. When you find out that news, you think it's because I mean, these days you hardly ever see anyone with Down syndrome or T21 anymore out and about. So we mourned it. We were worried. We were concerned as new parents, even though Eddie's our fifth kid. We were worried what was going to happen. We were scared. The birth was probably the most traumatic we've ever had. And that's because, well, what the little guys have, and this is what I didn't realize, is they've got very low muscle tone. Very low muscle tone. They just don't have the strength of normal people. And that inhibits a lot of their abilities. Even during birth, when they're pressured to get out of the birth canal, they just don't have the same muscle tone, and that can affect their heart rate. But now, 18 months later, he's doing fine. Sure, he doesn't hit the milestones of other children, but he's, verbalizing, he's almost walking, he's tracking. That's where we're noticing it, but he's crawling up and down things. He's making a mess, like all the other bloody toddlers. They're like, he'll go through all the kitchen cupboards, take everything out. One thing we do is, as a fifth kid, he's not going to be babied. You know what I mean? He's not going to be, oh no, we've got a disabled child, so we have to do everything for him. No, he has to learn to be independent because he's just one of the brood, one of the gang. And I somehow think that is giving him an advantage, forcing him to be independent because he's very independent. So, if you're in this situation, there you go. There's a picture, guys. It can work out well. And there's the trick, get them dirty and leave them with mum to clean up. So we've been through this. We weren't really pressured to terminate, but we were very clear right from the beginning that it's never going to happen. It's our kid. And sure, they'll have more challenges than other people, but, there's a lot of fully non-disabled people there that, are not achieving very much either. So let's have a look at this one. Because honestly, T21, children with Down syndrome, they're getting wiped out. People are terminating them very early, simply because they probably are afraid of what it will mean. You think your whole life's over because you've got a disabled kid. I mean, come on, seriously, it doesn't really matter that much. You just deal with it. It's life. So let's have a read of this. So Zoe O'Hare does not know how she remained composed in front of the students she was teaching, but the phone call she received will stay with her forever. In the middle of class, the expectant mother was told her unborn child had tested positive for Down syndrome. Well, they do a few tests. First, they'll do a prenatal scan, and they'll look for a nasal bone, and they will measure the water accumulated at the back of the neck. Those are two ways, indicators of a high risk of Downs. I think we had a 1 in 4 chance of Down syndrome. Then we did a NIPS test, which is a genetic test, they take from the mother's blood, and that was at 95% there. So, you're worried because you want every baby, you want to be perfect. So, and the doctor said he had booked her in for a termination. Okay, that's a shitty doctor. That is a terrible, incompetent doctor. That's got nothing to do with the doctor. The doctor should tell them about it, but shouldn't pre-book them in for it. I mean, that's just, yeah, that's terrible. That's incompetence. Honestly, it's meant to be patient-led care. It's not meant to be doctor-led care. Oh, but then again, we're in this fascistic health country now. That's what's going to be happening. You know, if the genetically impure, we'll just, you know, remove them. Boy, the Nazis would be proud. I got to bleep that out now. So, it was very scary, and just the mention of termination struck a nerve, she said. I mean, one thing with Rachel, she rang up a Down syndrome support group, and that was the one organization that she had a negative experience with regard to termination. Before I could say anything, before I could process anything or even breathe, he'd scheduled the termination. Miss O'Hare and her husband, Jake, both now 28, had been trying for a baby for 3 years. After receiving the prenatal results, they met with their doctor and were given a Down syndrome fact sheet, but said the care in the weeks following was minimal and next to nothing. The couple from regional New South Wales were told to expect the worst and given 3 outcomes for their baby with Downs: lifelong, dialysis treatment, stillborn, or neonatal death. Okay. What? Okay, we weren't given those. They decided to proceed with the pregnancy, and their daughter, Ali, is now 7-month-old and lives with Down syndrome. Miss O'Hare said she was meeting all her milestones and had exceeded everyone's expectations. Well, yeah, they do, because you've got pretty much low expectations. I mean, here's the thing: because of the low expectations that are placed upon your child and your what you think, you're going to be really happy when they do stuff that annoys you. Even that. When they fight back with their siblings. Edward, he pulls hair, as all toddlers do, and he gleefully gets revenge on his sisters. You can see, why my beard reaches a certain length and then disappears? It's because of the kids. So, she's amazing and has brought so much happiness to our lives. She may have a little bit of low muscle tone, which comes from Down syndrome, but other than that, she's honestly just like a normal baby. And, I mean, it's the way this syndrome manifests, it's quite different. We know the 3 people that we know. Edward has got Downs. Another family at our school their little baby has Downs, and their baby had to have a heart surgery and fed by a tube. And there's another one who was just delayed speech and was running around at dance school. So it depends on the kid. Research has revealed Miss O'Hare was not alone in her experience of feeling pressured to have a termination. So, shocking survey shows pressure faced by parents. Down Syndrome Australia said half of new parents face discrimination and neglect from medical professionals during and after prenatal screenings. DSA Chief Executive Ellie Ellen Scalzin, who led the research, said the results were shocking and revealed a system that was not working. Really? I'm not shocked at all in the fact that people are getting pressured for that. It just seems to be a common thing now. To hear families being repeatedly asked about termination and not supported in their decision to proceed with the pregnancy is a case of neglect, the doctor said. Well, yeah, it's complete incompetence. It's almost, I'd say, malpractice. The people should be reported for this. We heard about doctors who told families that their child would have a lifetime of suffering or that they would never achieve anything. How many able-bodied people who are not disabled spend their whole lives bitching and moaning with a complete victim mentality, blaming everyone else for their problems, and achieve bugger all? A shitload of them, guys, and most of them are Greens voters. Anyway, okay, I shouldn't get political, but still, I mean, come on. How many people do you know that are fully bodied and don't do anything? A survey of 320 parents who had a child under the age of 10 with Down syndrome was done over July and August. I wonder if we did that. Rachel probably knows. Doctor said it was time for change in the training of doctors. Well, this is the problem. People don't see Down syndrome people anymore. None of them are around. Back when I was a kid, they'd go to school with us, We'd pick on them. They'd pick on us. I mean, that was normal back then. Honestly, I think South Park's treatment of disabled people in their series is probably one of the best there is out there, to be quite frank. Like, they're normal people and they fight and they act like kids. Getting access to balanced good information should no longer be the exception. It should be the norm. We know doctors aren't trying to do the wrong thing. They just need more support. Down Syndrome Australia is using the research results to make a submission to the Disability Royal Commission about prenatal screening. In Australia, it's estimated that when prenatal screenings detect Down syndrome, 90% of the pregnancies were terminated. Yeah, that's it. Some countries, it's pretty much 100%. Dr. Skludskin, here we go. Dr. Skludskin said access to information and support services was a vital part of the decision-making process. Parents also need connections to other families who have children with Down syndrome. Regardless of what decision they make about their pregnancy, that decision needs to be respected. So he completed the family. Yeah, it's just the unknown. It's just the unknown, guys. Queensland mother, Julia Lane, was pregnant with her second child when a 20-week scan revealed her unborn son had a heart condition and probably Down syndrome. See, we were quite fortunate. Eddie's not had any heart issues at all. We were in shock, she said. We were sitting alone in the room, just in complete disbelief because we didn't think anything along those lines. We just thought we were going to see a healthy little baby. And amniocentesis confirmed the Down syndrome diagnosis, and they met with doctors. The doctor said, we can fix your son's heart, but there's no way we'll ever be able to fix the fact your son has Down syndrome. Well, are people so dumb to think you can fix that? It's a genetic condition. Come on. It was pretty traumatic because I didn't care if he had Down syndrome. If his heart condition could be fixed, then he was worthy of life. Miss Lane said they'd been told their child would be a massive burden and might destroy their marriage. A massive burden. How weak are people getting? You know, we become such a society. Honestly, I think it comes right down to people are just so weak and bloody selfish. The idea of making a sacrifice as a parent is completely beyond them. You know, they don't want to change their plans, that little fantasy they have in their head of what might become. Oh, yeah. That's arcing up my disgust sensitivity right there. It was completely awful and biased information that was given to us. She said that in her view, they didn't think his life was worthy. I couldn't believe I was hearing this from someone who was a doctor and supposed to be providing us care to us. Well, you need to change your doctor. Their son Grayson is now 3 and an energetic and cheeky toddler. He has completed our family and I couldn't imagine our lives without him. So there we go, everyone. Let's have a look here. The survey. 49% of families reported feeling pressured by healthcare providers to terminate their pregnancy. 42% of families said they'd received negative information about Down syndrome. 45% of families felt they did not receive appropriate support during pregnancy. So let's have a bit of a discussion about this one, everyone. So what do you all think? I mean, I've gone through this process. We were quite adamant right up front that we were not going to terminate, so we didn't really feel pressured. But it was very fast. Boom, instantly, doctor had a meeting during her lunch hour. Boom, the next day this happened. Boom, really very quick. We went to the Mater, that's where we go for all our babies, and they don't even do terminations there. They have to send you away somewhere else. As a parent, sure, you do mourn it when you first find out, but, it's just a part of life. It's something you have to deal with. So, what do you think, everyone? How many of you have experience with people with Down syndrome in your daily lives? I remember when I was a child, they used to go to school. I remember primary school, they were around. Now, not anymore. 90%, they're all being killed. They're being terminated, for fear that there'll be a massive burden. Well, how many people are a massive burden on a society? What about all the people that are morbidly obese that put a massive burden on our healthcare system? Yeah, doesn't seem right. So, there we go, everyone. As I said, I'm a father of someone with Down syndrome, so I am quite biased. But it's sad that people are simply jumping to these conclusions, guys. So what have people said? Michael's watching me for the first time at normal speed. Fantastic. I'll try and keep it going. Ash is commenting about little Edward. And you know what? I'll bring up Eddie again. We can look at him while we're going through this discussion. Covered in food. She's going, with today's push for the acceptance of all minorities, you'd think this wouldn't be the case. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're in quite a twisted world right at the moment where there's meant to be this global push for acceptance, but there's also a global push to terminate anyone with Down syndrome, everyone. I mean, come on. Oh no, their IQ is going to be a bit lower. They'll have, muscle tone issues. They may need some health issues. There's a lot of people that are completely fine that are probably a greater burden on our healthcare system. And that's probably through all their own choice. Here you've got people with no choice. It's just the dice that was cast towards them. So yeah, I mean, kind of sad where we're heading as a nation and as a civilization, honestly. I know it's traumatic for people that go through it. I mean, we have been, but it's like anything in life. You deal with it. Okay, guys, you deal with it. And, you spoil them like other kids. And they're not happy all the time. Not what everyone tells you. They're not super happy all the time. That's just complete bullshit. They're normal. They get annoyed. They feel all the emotions. But they're like a toddler. They love having you around. And Eddie loves playing with people's phones, crawling up everything, destroying stuff. So we'll have to see, guys. So I think that's our shows for today. Are there any others that I wanted to talk about? There was one more that I wanted to talk about, everyone, and let me just prepare for that one. I need to bring up some data here. So yeah, no, I can understand why people jump to the conclusions with regards to simply terminating these children. But yeah, we're meant to be a little bit more accepting of that. It's not the end of the world that someone will occasionally need some medical support throughout their lives. I thought we were beyond the point of making decisions based on how much of a burden people was. I mean, we're shutting down the whole bloody country right now, locking it down, destroying our economy, locking it down, destroying our economy, simply because we want to protect some people that are at greater risk of dying. And yet we've got people here that may have some issues in their life that we're using that to justify termination of them. So yeah, not worth it. Thank you all for watching this episode of HeiseSays. If you're a fan of the channel and you want to support us, there are a few ways you can. If you want to take part in the discussions that we have in the discussion section of the live stream, you can join us on the Twitch channel or on the YouTube channel to catch the live streams as I record it. Now, this is a separate HeiseSays live YouTube channel. You can find it in the links below. If you want to support us that little bit extra, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon, sign up for SelfWealth or Stake, use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve or AussieBroadband, buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thank you to everyone who joined me and helped keep me company for the live stream this morning. Take care and have a great day.